Story 1. Coconuts. Mike was not well. He was tired all the time and his head often hurt. "Go to the doctor," his wife said. Mike did not like visiting the doctor, but after a week, he went. The doctor asked him a lot of questions and wrote Mike's answers down.
"What do you eat in the morning?"
He asked him.
"Eggs, bread, butter, jam, and coffee."
Mike answered.
"And what lunch do you have?"
The doctor asked.
"Meat or fish and bread." "And what do you have in the evening?"
The doctor asked.
"Eggs and bread."
Then the doctor said,
"Eat some fruit every day, and eat all the skin of the fruit. The skin is very good. What fruit do you like best?"
Mike was not happy.
"Coconuts,"
he answered. Story 2. Being bilingual has its advantages. A mouse, hiding in a hole in the wall, was scared of venturing out where a huge tomcat was poised to catch it. After an hour, the purring sound stopped, and the mouse could only hear the sound of a rooster crowing. "I can't go out now," the mouse thought. "The danger is gone." Unfortunately, the cat was still patiently waiting for its prey. He pounced on the mouse, gobbled it up, and turned into a kitten, saying,
"You see, being bilingual has its advantages."
Story 3. The Magician and the Parrot. A magician was working on a cruise ship in the Caribbean. He has a different audience each week, so he allowed himself to perform the same act over and over again. There was only one problem. The captain's parrot saw the shows each week and began to understand how the magician did every trick. Once he understood, he started shouting in the middle of every show.
"Look, that's not the same hat. Now he's hiding the flowers under the table. Hey, why are all the cards the ace of spades?"
The magician was furious but couldn't do anything about it. After all, it was the captain's parrot. One day, the unthinkable happened. The ship had an accident and sank. The magician found himself on a piece of wood in the middle of the ocean, with the parrot, of course. They stared at each other with hate, but did not utter a single word. This went on for days. After a week, the parrot finally broke the silence and said,
"Okay, I give up. Where did you hide the boat?"
Story 4. Gifts for Mother. 3 sons left home, went out on their own and prospered. They discussed the gifts that they were able to give their elderly mother. The first son said,
"I built a big house for our mother."
The second son said,
"I sent Mama Mercedes with a driver."
The third son said,
"You remember how our mother enjoys reading the Bible? Now she can't see very well. Therefore, I sent her a remarkable parrot that recites the entire Bible. The elders at the church spent 12 years to teach him. Mama just has to name the chapter and the verse, and the parrot recites it."
Soon thereafter, their mother sent out her letters of thanks. "William," she wrote, "the house you built is so huge. I live in only one room, but I have to clean the whole house." "Arnold," she said, "I'm too old to travel. I stay most of the time at home, so I rarely use the Mercedes. That driver is so rude he is a pain." "But David," she said, "the chicken was delicious." Story 5. Give me a second. A man was wandering in the woods, pondering all the mysteries of life and his own personal problems. The man couldn't find the answers, so he sought the help of God.
"God? You there, God?"
He asked.
"Yes. What is it, my son?"
God answered.
Mind if I ask a few questions?
The man asked.
Go ahead, my son. Anything. God, what is 1,000,000 years to you?
God answered.
1,000,000 years to me is only a second.
The man asked.
God, what is $1,000,000 worth to you?
God replied.
$1,000,000 to me is worth only a penny.
The man lifted his eyebrows and asked his final question.
God, can I have a penny?
God answered.
Sure. Give me a second.
Story 6. Please Let It Be Blood. A Scotsman was walking along a narrow road with a bottle of very rare, old whiskey in the pocket of his coat. It had been a present from a good friend, and he could hardly wait to get home to sample it. Suddenly, a car appeared out of the midst and knocked him into the ditch. As he wasn't hurt very badly, he got up and started limping on his way. All of a sudden, he felt something trickling down his leg.
Oh, God.
He prayed aloud.
Please let it be blood.
Story 7. Where's the shoe?
One night, a fellow drove his secretary home after she had imbibed a little too much at an office reception. Although this was an innocent gesture, he decided not to mention it to his wife, who tended to get jealous easily. The next night, the man and his wife were driving to a restaurant. Suddenly, he looked down and spotted a high-heel shoe half hidden under the passenger seat. Not wanting to be conspicuous, he waited until his wife was looking out her window before he scooped up the shoe and tossed it out of the car. With a sigh of relief, he pulled into the restaurant parking lot. That's when he noticed his wife squirming around in her seat.
Honey,
She asked.
have you seen my other shoe? Story 8. On the road. After weeks on the road, a trucker pulled into a brothel. The trucker walked up to the madam, slapped $500 on the counter, and demanded,
Give me a bologna sandwich and the ugliest, meanest, most foul-tempered woman in the house.
The madam looked at the trucker and exclaimed, Sir, for this kind of money, you can have the best steak with all the trimmings and 2 of the prettiest girls in the state. The trucker slowly looked up and with a tear in his eye said,
You don't understand. I'm not hungry or looking for company. I'm homesick.
Story 9. Grass. One afternoon, a wealthy lawyer was riding in the back of his limousine when he saw 2 men eating grass by the roadside. He ordered his driver to stop, and he got out to investigate.
Why are you eating grass?
He asked one man.
We don't have any money for food.
The poor man replied.
Oh, along with me then. But sir, I have a wife with 2 children. Bring them along. And you, come with us too.
He said to the other man.
But sir, I have a wife with 6 children.
The second man answered.
Bring them as well.
They all climbed into the car, which was no easy task, even for a car as large as the limo. Once underway, one of the poor fellows says,
Sir, you are too kind. Thank you for taking all of us with you.
The lawyer replied.
No problem. The grass at my home is about 2 feet tall.
Story 10. If I told you, you'd never believe me.
There was a circus in town, and it seems one of the elephants escaped and was foraging around the backyard of a woman who had one martini too many. She ran to the telephone, called the police station and said,
There's a strange animal in my garden.
"What's he doing?" inquired the deck sergeant.
He's picking up cabbages with his tail.
The officer asked, "What's he doing with them?" She replied,
If I told you, you'd never believe me. Story 11. I should come to see.
At the party, a group of men tried to move to a beautiful and attractive girl. At the corner, the wife told her husband,
My dear, look at the men surrounding that girl. I think she's not attractive, is she?
"Well, perhaps I should come to see whether she is or not."
Story 12. The Bum. A bum approaches a well-dressed gentleman on the street.
"Hey, buddy, can you spare $2?
The well-dressed gentleman responds,
You are not going to spend on liquor, are you?" "No, sir, I don't drink."
retorts the bum.
"You are not going to throw it away in some crap game, are you?"
Asks the gentleman.
"No way, I don't gamble."
Answers the bum.
"You wouldn't waste the money at a golf course for greens fees, would you?"
Asks the man.
"Never.
Says the bum.
I don't play golf."
The man asks the bum if he would like to come home with him for a home-cooked meal. The bum accepts eagerly. While they are heading for the man's house, the bum's curiosity gets the better of him.
"Isn't your wife going to be angry when she sees a guy like me at your table?" "Probably,"
Says the man.
"but it will be worth it. I want her to see what happens to a guy who doesn't drink, gamble, or play golf."
Story 13. At a bar. A man sat at a bar drinking slowly. On his face was the saddest hangdog expression. The bartender asked,
"What's the matter? Are you having troubles with your wife?"
The man said.
"We had a fight, and she told me that she wasn't going to speak to me for a month."
Bartender said.
"That should make you happy."
The man said.
"No, the month is up today."
Story 14. Small Lioness.
One day, a verbose woman asked her husband,
Why do men often call their wives or girlfriends with emotional words such as my kitty, my lovely pigeon, but you've never called me like that?
"Well, from now on, I'll call you my small lioness."
Story 15. Why do they have French lessons?
What's the idea of the Greens having French lessons?
They've adopted a French baby and want to understand what she says when she begins to talk. Story 16. Missing a good chance. As the couple were sleeping soundly, suddenly the wife shouted loudly and groped everywhere in the bed. Seeing that, the husband held her hands and asked,
"What's the matter, my honey?"
My God, it was terrible. I dreamt of falling down to the hell. Fortunately, he pulled me back. If not, I would have, the husband sighed and thought to himself.
What a silly man I am. I have just missed a good chance.
Story 17. It's useful.
Doctor, after coming back from the home village, my wife has lost her voice completely.
It's quite useful for your treatment. I'll reduce the dose of mental medicine when her voice is being lost. Story 18. Fall to be glad. A young husband told his wife,
Darling, you don't have to wash up today.
"Oh, my dear," the wife said happily. "You'll help me wash up, won't you?"
Oh no, I've just dropped all the dishes because of my carelessness.
Story 19. You are so cold. Why have you been so cold to me recently? You only go around the house all day without saying a word to me.
Yes, you often tell me we should not have cross words with each other, don't you?
Story 20. The Consanguineous.
There was a couple who often had quarrels. One day, angry with the husband, the wife cried and said,
I would rather marry a devil than you.
The husband replied in a hurry, It's impossible to do so, my dear. Under the marriage code, the consanguineous are not allowed to get married to each other.
Story 21. The Tactic. Why did you turn the cassette on so loudly last night?
I had the tactic. The singing drowns the lion's roar.
Story 22. My Desire. My dear, today is your birthday. What do you like?
Yes, I like.
What?
Could you keep silent for a day? It's a nice gift for me.
Story 23. Quick-minded. Coming home from work, the husband took a seat at the dinner table and got a piece of burnt bread.
Who baked it?
Feeling unsatisfied, he asked. His mother wanted the son to scold his wife, so she said, It's your wife who did it. She is such a dexterous housewife. Having understood what the mother meant, the son responded,
That's why the bread is delicious.
Story 24. It's very strange. The husband told his wife,
It's very strange that women always try to smarten their appearance up instead of upgrading their knowledge.
The wife answered, They do so because men are usually stupid but hardly blind. Story 25. Guess who sent them? A young couple that had received many valuable wedding presents established their home in a suburb. One morning, they received in the mail 2 tickets for a popular show in the city with a single line.
Guess who sent them?
The pair had much amusement in trying to identify the donor, but failed in the effort. They duly attended the theater and had a delightful time. On their return home late at night, still trying to guess the identity of the unknown host, they found the house stripped of every article of value, and on the table in the dining room was a piece of paper on which was written the same hand as the enclosure with the tickets.
Now you know.
Story 26. Don't do that.
The husband is on his deathbed. The wife, who has always scolded him, is bewailing and spinning him a yarn.
My dear, how could you leave me alone in this world? Perhaps I should follow you. Hearing that, the husband tried to sit up and said,
My darling, don't do that. Let me go and have a rest.
Story 27. The Happiest Hour.
An old couple was recalling their past.
Do you still remember the time you made the marriage proposal to me? I was so moved that I could say nothing for an hour.
Well, it was the happiest hour of my life.
Story 28. The Telegraph.
From Sanatorium of Treating Obesity, the wife sent her husband a message.
Just for 4 weeks, I lost weight by a half. How long should I stay here?
The husband telegraphed, Another 4 weeks.
Story 29. Reason for divorce. A married couple appeared in court to get a divorce. The judge, please tell me the reason for your divorce. The husband,
Judge.
the wife, let me speak first. The husband,
No, I want to speak first.
the wife, no, let me speak first. The judge, stop. Now I know the reason why you want to divorce. Story 30. Habit. My dear, you agreed to guard the lighthouse yesterday, didn't you? Why did you come back home this evening?
The wife asked worriedly. They've sacked me, the husband replied.
Really? Why?
As a habit, I switched off the light before going to bed.
Story 31. Poor me.
The husband, who has rarely taken care of his wife, decided one day to invite her to the movies. The wife burst into tears.
Poor me. I don't know why the lamps broke. My dress was burnt when ironing, and my husband was raving. Story 32. Kill me earlier.
Before the play, the actress of Desdemona told the actor of Othello,
Can you kill me 20 minutes earlier than usual tonight?
Why? He asked, surprising.
Because my husband forced me to be back early. Otherwise, he would kill me. Story 33. Secret of Happiness.
Sitting at the dinner table, the niece asked her uncle and his wife, who have been married for 40 years.
What secret helps you live together for such a long time?
It's very simple. When one person speaks, the other doesn't listen.
Story 34. Without Glasses.
An old-aged couple was together, and the wife carefully took the pair of glasses out of her husband's face and gently said,
Do you know, my dear, you look as handsome as you were in our wedding without these glasses.
Honey, the old man replied, without them, you look beautiful to me as in the old.
Story 35. Without Cellular Phone. As we took notes, our anatomy instructor labored through a lecture on the way nerve cells transmit impulses.
Who can tell me how these cells communicate with one another?
He asked, expecting someone to explain the phenomenon of neurotransmission. After a few muffled whispers, one student finally spoke up.
With cellular phones.
Story 36. $1,000. One of the toughest graduate courses my sister took at the university was business economics. Once the professor was discussing the theory of supply and demand.
I'm selling A for 50 cents.
He said.
Who wants to buy one?
Everyone raised a hand.
My price just went up to $25.
3 hands came down. The professor continued to raise the price until just one woman's hand remained in the air.
A's now cost $1,000.
He announced. The hand stayed.
You still want to buy an A?
He asked in astonishment. Oh, yes, the woman replied. My husband bet me $10,000 that I couldn't get an A in business economics. Story 37. I still owe him money. Jack took Paulette out to a fancy restaurant. They each had lobster, wine, and a large dessert. As they sipped cognac afterwards, Jack said,
If my doctor saw me, he'd be rather upset.
Why? Asked Paulette. Does he have you on some kind of diet?
No,
Said Jack.
I still owe him money.
Story 38. To draw out all of his savings.
A teacher was giving her students a lesson in logic.
Here's the situation.
She said,
A man is standing up in a boat in the middle of a river fishing. He loses his balance, falls in, and begins splashing and yelling for help. His wife hears the commotion, knows he can't swim, and runs down to the bank. Why do you think she ran down to the bank?
A girl raised her hand and asked,
To draw out all of his saving? Story 39. Exclaimed. The driving instructor was giving a lesson to an extremely nervous student who panicked whenever another car approached, on a particular 2-lane road. One day, however, they got to the same stretch of road, and she remained completely calm.
"This time you're doing fine,"
exclaimed the instructor. Yes, the novice driver agreed. Now when I see another car coming, I shut my eyes. Story 40. Things have been okay. A young couple was becoming anxious about their 4-year-old son, who had not yet talked. They took him to specialists, but the doctors found nothing wrong with him. Then one morning, at breakfast, the boy suddenly blurted,
"Mom, the toast is burned."
You talked, shouted his mother. I'm so happy, but why has it taken this long?
"Well, up till now,"
said the boy.
"things have been okay."
Story 41. Good news and bad news.
An artist asked the gallery owner if anyone had shown interest in his paintings.
I've got good news and bad news,
she said.
The good news is that some guy inquired about your works and wondered if it would appreciate in value after you die. When I told him it would, he bought all 15 of your paintings.
And the bad news?
The guy was your doctor. Story 42. Patio. My husband, Ray, was attempting to build a patio for the first time. He bought 100 cement blocks. Laying them out in a pattern, he discovered the chosen area was too small. He stacked the blocks against the house and cleared more space. The next day, Ray put the cement blocks back down, only to find that the ground was too hard to keep the patio level. He ordered a truckload of sand to be delivered the following morning. Again, he stacked the 100 blocks against the house. Observing all this, our next-door neighbor asked,
"Ray, are you going to put your patio away every night?"
Story 43. 3 men swindled. Outside City Hall, a boy selling newspapers bellowed,
"Extra, extra, read all about it. 2 men swindled."
A man walked up to the boy, bought a paper, and sat down to read it.
"Hey, kid,"
he protested a few minutes later.
"there's nothing in here about 2 men being cheated." "Extra, extra,"
shouted the boy.
3 men swindled."
Story 44. A spectacular job. One day, a man spotted a lamp on the roadside. He picked it up, rubbed it vigorously, and a genie appeared.
"I'll grant you the fondest wish,"
the genie said. The man thought for a moment, then said,
"I want a spectacular job. A job that no man has ever succeeded at or has ever attempted to do." "Pooh,"
said the genie.
"You're a housewife."
Story 45. The check.
"I think I've had too much to drink.
Slurred Robert to his waiter.
Please bring me something to sober me up." "Right away,"
said the waiter.
"I'll go get the check."
Story 46. $1 million. The School of Agriculture's Dean of Admissions was interviewing a prospective student.
Why have you chosen this career?
He asked.
I dream of making $1 million in farming, like my father.
The student replied.
Your father made $1 million in farming?
Echoed the impressed dean.
No,
Replied the applicant.
but he always dreamed of it.
Story 47. The Jewelry.
Mrs. Flinders decided to have her portrait painted. She told the artist,
Paint me with diamond earrings, a diamond necklace, emerald bracelets, and a ruby pendant.
"But you're not wearing any of those things,"
I know.
said Mrs. Flinders.
It's in case I should die before my husband. I'm sure he'd remarry right away, and I want her to go crazy looking for the jewelry. Story 48. Fair Lady. He's so romantic. Every time he speaks to me, he starts with, Fair Lady. He's so romantic. Every time he speaks to me, he starts with, Fair Lady. Romantic my eyes. He used to be a bus driver. Story 49. Exercise.
The doctor said to the patient,
You should exercise daily. At least take a short walk.
"What time should I do it, doctor? Perhaps in the morning, right after I finish delivering the mail?"
Story 50. The Mermaid.
Two fish were chatting, and one said,
Did you hear that, Charlie? The tuna called off his engagement to Minnie the Mermaid. Whatever for?
asked the other fish. The first fish replied,
What for? Have you ever seen her top half?